Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to the another episode of Product Management Interview Experience. I am Sugat, and today I have Abhishek Arora, who has recently joined the product team at INDMoney. Welcome, Abhishek.
Hi Sugat, thank you for giving me this opportunity to be a part of what you do. I've loved the initiative up till now. I've also looked at a few interviews that you've covered. Your interview as well at PayPal. So I've
Great.
been a follower of what you do. Thank you for having me on this channel.
Great to know. Thanks a lot, Abhishek, and we are very happy to know about your journey so far and how you actually landed up in INDMoney. So, folks, you're watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe this channel so that it reaches out to a lot of other aspirants. And whenever we upload any new video, you get a notification immediately. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Abhishek, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, Sugat. I've created a small presentation. I'll just share my screen so that it keeps the users engaged also. They can see it on the screen.
Absolutely. Let's get started.
Are you able to see my screen, Sugat?
Yeah, good to go, Abhishek.
Okay, so hi everyone. This is a brief introduction about what I have done. So yes, I'm an engineer. I did computer engineering from GB Bandh University, Uttarakhand. It is a state university there, and I've worked at a lot of companies, but my interest has always been to work at a consumer tech firm. I started working as a business analyst at Aspiring Minds. That was my first stint, and I got a flavor of how it actually looks like working at a corporate. The major change and the major spike in my career was when I joined Policy Bazaar. I joined there as a data scientist, and I worked on amazing projects. I got to work with a lot of people, and we were evolving at that time. A lot of new things were coming up in the industry. Chatbots were getting implemented. You, there was a specific focus on improving the design and getting new interactive apps. So I was fortunate to be a part of Policy Bazaar at that time. I worked on good projects, worked there for 2 years, and finally made it to IIM Lucknow, which was like a dream come true. And at IIM Lucknow, I landed up at this wonderful opportunity with Amazon. I interned there for 2 months in their global selling division. Then got placed at Walt Disney Company for Star India. The joining was delayed due to the pandemic, but I used that time to hone my skills and learn more on the job. So I landed up at this internship opportunity at Licious, which was in the year in April 2020, and I worked there for close to 6 months. Likewise, Policy Bazaar, Licious played an important role in bringing that flavor of working at a consumer tech company. I actually worked closely with the product teams, and I also charted out a flow for a major thing that was to be implemented at Licious. So that was very helpful to me. Then I joined Walt Disney Company. The I worked at so the role was of an internal consultant there, and we work closely with a lot of teams. We work with Hotstar, we work with the regional teams, we also worked in ad monetization, and we helped all of the teams in two things majorly. One was in monetizing their ad properties in a better way, getting in clients, doing industry analysis, and the second was helping out Star and Hotstar with its content strategy and placing it up at par with its peers. And then I've recently joined INDMoney. It's been close to 2 weeks now. I'll be working in the Indian stocks division, and we'll be working on setting up the product over here. So yes, that is a brief introduction about me.
Great to hear, Abhishek, and thanks a lot for walking us through your entire journey so far and the kind of work which you have done. So I assume before we get started, right? I assume we all are very much aware of the IND Money company and the app, and I'm a super fan of IND Money itself. But I would also love if you can introduce IND Money to the viewers who might not heard about it.
Sure, sure. Yeah, thank you, Sugat, for getting this in. So, folks, INDMoney is what we call a super money app. So, it is the first app in India which helps you track your your financial health, to say it, to put it in a right way. So if you log on to the app and you do a brief onboarding, you'll get to see all your investments, all your liabilities in one place. That was the first part. Secondly, we help our users to transact and invest in US stocks. So that is our hero product right now. Apart from investing in US stocks, you can also invest in mutual funds completely through our app. You can also track your investments like the EPF, PPF. You can also track your crypto investments all in one place. And yeah, it is a good. If you haven't used out, I'll give you a heads up to go ahead and use the app. You will find it really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And viewers who haven't heard about INDMoney, do check out the website and download the app and start using. I use it for all my uses and even for investing stocks and buying stocks and from US. So I'm pretty excited today to have Abhishek on this channel to know about the entire interview experience and the process, how you actually got that interview call, and what were the different rounds. Abhishek would love to know, in detail. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Sugat. I'll take you through my interview experience at INDMoney. Uh, yeah. So yes, the first round was the HR screening, and it was an introductory call. She wanted to understand more about what I currently do, what I had done in my previous role. How did my work align with the product if I were to take it up? And this was one. Secondly, this was very important, and I got to know it after I joined IND Money. So they are very, so they like candidates who've actually tried out their app. So it is very important, if you are interviewing for any company per se, any product per se, you should actually try out their app and have an opinion. Be a user before you want to be a creator. Then after that, she wanted to know why I wanted to make a move. So that was basically, I wanted to make an industry move. I wanted to move into fintech per se because I had lately developed an interest and a love for fintech. And lastly, she wanted to know what were my compensation expectations and how would I be, what would I be okay with. So after this brief call, there was a part wherein she told me that she'll be sharing a take home assignment with me, and so the time given to me was sufficient. So she told me to take any time, any duration between 4 to 7 days. So I completed the assignment over the weekend and I shared it with her. uh, Coming to the assignment, there were three parts to it. One was, there was a case study which was given to me, which said ki, so as a PM, how would we build a good customer experience for users? Because as I told earlier, IND Money helps you to look at your financial health completely, right? So there are a lot of third parties involved. Like, we gather data from a lot of places, like whereas your EPF data, we are also looking at the credit score. We hit Sibyl's APIs. We are also looking at your mutual fund statement. So a lot of third party services are involved. So given the complexity of the linkages, and how would we build a good customer experience given ki such the thing exists? So to answer this question, I took a structured approach. I broke the problem into two. So one was, how could I uh, look for, how could I build a good experience for a lag in data? So lag could be because the data is not getting fed into the API and all. So lag could be solved by two things. One was, there could be a filler information which was shown, which was like an infographic, like how Indian equities market has performed over 20 years, or how much would you save if you invest in a direct mutual fund versus a regular mutual fund, like this. Second could be to gamify the experience. Let's say there is a lag in data and you don't want user to drop off. You can actually start a game like Google does for Chrome. If there is no internet, you get to play the dinosaur game. Or Cred also does it. They have this snake game if the internet is off. So that was the first part. uh, the second was the inaccuracy of information. So for inaccuracy of information, I could come up with two problems that existed. The first was key, the information that has been fetched is incorrect. For example, I'll just shed some light on it. So when we are thinking, when we are looking at the banking banking setup that is there in India, you I let's say stayed at address A, but I have shifted to address B. But in my in my bank records, address A is already there. So the user might be bewildered to see ki, yeah, this is not the address I'm looking at, and they are showing the wrong address. So that was the first problem. To handle this, I suggested ki we can take the user to any online service for a bank like HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank have this facility wherein you can update your address by submitting the current address proof. So you can share this. You can guide the user to that service and let him continue the journey, which will get reflected once it is done. Secondly, if there is no bank, let's say an old bank, let's say a UCO bank or something, you can guide him to the help section wherein he'll be directed to go to the nearest bank and then submit his details. This was the inaccuracy. Second could be lag in information. So we all know that there is a lag of around 15 to 45 days in the civils report. So the lag information can be updated by showing a small info icon over there which says ki last update is with respect to, let's say, 15 January 2022. So these cues, information cues, would help people, stay updated and remove the inaccuracies of data that is there. This is what I had written in my assignment. Second was motivation to work at INDMoney. So I had developed an interest in fintech, and I'm also an MBA in finance. So, and I always wanted to move into product management. So all of these things intersected at me at least trying to get an opportunity at INDMoney. So that was my motivation to work over here. And the third part was two projects with a measurable impact. So I talked about my work at Licious, also at Policy Bazaar and at Disney, and I broke the problem into a structured way. So I started with defining the problem. I then proposed the solution. I then wrote about what I had contributed in the project, and I also shed light upon the impact it created and the metrics that we measured. So this is what all I had written in my assignment, and they liked what I had written, and I was shortlisted for a face-to-face interview with the CEO.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
great, Abhishek, and thanks a lot for not only walking us through the questions, but also your approach, your take on solving this kind of case studies. And so, yeah, very happy to hear your upcoming rounds, and especially you mentioned that you have a next round with the CEO. So happy to hear more about that.
yes. Just one thing, Sugat, I just forgot to mention for so this is for our viewers. Whenever we get a case study, there can be two approaches to submit your solution. One is you submit the solution in the form of a PPT. The other is in the form of a doc. I personally prefer writing in form of a doc because of two things. One, you get to explain your problem and approach in a better way because you have more space to write. Secondly, you can also bring about your structured thinking in a doc. So that is why I preferred, and I picked this habit while I was working, while I was interning at Amazon. So I always write like submitting such assignments in form of a doc, but even PPT is fine.
No, valid point, Abhishek. I think I have always heard about PPTs and all, but I think this gives a very fresh perspective when I hear submitting the docs, and especially in Amazons and all, and the six pages concepts, it's all the doc and not the PPT. So yeah, it does make sense.
Uh, yes. Uh, Thank you, Sugat. Now, I'll just walk you through my uh, brief meeting that I had with the CEO. So, so this was more around what I had done. So it was more around my resume and the projects that I had described in the assignment. And I'll tell you one thing: whenever someone goes and meets with the CEO, please be prepared that he would have read through the entire each and every word that you would have written in your assignment or your resume. And this is what I liked about. So he know Ashish knew more than I did. So he actually, he was very uh, he took lead in the interview. He went ahead and asked me, okay, this is what you did in Policy Bazaar. Okay, this was from a customer front perspective. The work that you did at Disney was from a B2B advertising perspective. Okay, okay. So I like the fact that he was very much excited about meeting me, and I like the entire interview experience. Uh, after going through my resume and assignment, he wanted to probe more on my capability to handle multiple tasks at one end. There was a reason why I think he asked me this, because I have always worked as in an individual contributor role. So that is why maybe he asked me, ki, is it okay if I'll be able to handle different tasks? So I brought in the example of my work at Policy Bazaar, wherein I was working as a data scientist, but uh, I was closely working with the ops and also with the development team. So it was not that I was just making models and getting it implemented. It was also having an ear and working with cross functional teams. So the point here is that whenever you say something, always have something, an experience to validate it. It helps out in the experience also, and it also puts some weight in what you were saying. So this I do it always, and it helps me out. Then the third question was, now this was a trick question for me, because I always wanted to get into product, but he said, ki, yaar, okay, we like you, but would it be okay if we make you join as a program manager, and would it be okay ki, yaar, 6 months kaam karke, would you be okay to move into product? So I was very much okay with it. And I'm saying it honestly, because even when I was working at Licious now, my work was more about program management, and during the last 2 months of my stint was I actually getting to work on a lot of product. So whenever if someone asks you a question like this, you shouldn't have a uh, very strong stance of not getting into program management, because basically program management is a stepping stone into product. Because as a program manager, the thing that you pick up is working with cross functional teams and a stakeholder management, which you don't get to learn otherwise. So it is okay to say yes to such and then prove your point once you are in the firm.
No, valid point, Abhishek, and even that also, give you some hints on how badly you want to be with that organizations with
Yes.
different roles. So, can we? I think you handled it very well in this situation, Abhishek. Yeah, thanks, Abhishek, for sharing the insight. So I think, in short, we can safely assume that the CEO can be part of the hiring panel in while hiring recruiting for the product managers, and definitely it's kind of a make it or break it round. So have to be very careful.
Uh, yes, Ashish does like to meet folks who are joining the product team. So yes, you can expect to have a round with Ashish if you are interviewing for a product role at INDMoney.
Cool. And what's next? I think, yeah, happy to hear
Yeah.
on the upcoming rounds.
Yes. So yes, Ashish liked my. So the feedback that I got was that Ashish liked the my honesty and also the enthusiasm with which I answered his questions. So yes, then I was my next round was with the VP of product, who and yes, it was in the next 5 days. So up till now, I was contacted at on the 7th. Then there was a round on 15th, and then on 20th, I had a round with the VP of product. So the interview was going very smoothly. There weren't many blockers. The process was very smooth. Yeah. So so the next round that I had was a detailed round. So it was a very detailed round. So it started with this about me. Nikhil had already gone through my resume. He knew who I am and all. And then he asked me, "Can tell me something about yourself which is not there in what we've read about you?" So I knew that this, because we prepare for such questions when we are in MBA. So I had an ace up my sleeve. So I mentioned to him कि I help my dad take his business online. So my dad owns a bakery in Dehradun, and in 2019 I helped my dad register his bakery as a merchant on Swiggy and Zomato. So and the entire online experience part is still taken care of by me. I regularly take out time to look at the sales, the feedback given by customers, and and I'm the point of contact for the account managers who are there at Swiggy and Zomato. So yes, this is something that I do apart from my professional life, and I like working. I like helping my father with this. So he was very happy because he in his past Nikhil had also started a food venture. So he got excited, and then the next question came up. Ki, yaar, theek hai, there is a lot of problem of working capital once you are working in a food business. So how do you help? How do you take care of that? So so this was a very so I clarified here. I don't look at the operations. Operations are handled by my father only. So he does keep a track of what the amount of raw material that we need to procure to build to produce x amounts of item of different sizes. So this was there. Then after having a small discussion around how our business is doing and how what is my input over there, he jumped on to the same thing. Ki, yaar, how good are you at stakeholder management? Because from your experience, it seems ki, you've always worked as an individual contributor. Uh, so herein I brought in my experience at Licious. So at Licious, I got the opportunity to work with a lot of cross-functional teams. And there were two specific instances that I want to bring. First was I worked closely with the Razorpay team to streamline the payments experience at Licious. So that was one project that I started and I led, and it was really appreciated. Wherein we evaluated a lot of the efficacies of various instruments that were there on Licious and all. And secondly, I was also working. I also closely worked with the Freshworks team. So Freshworks was our the CRM partner that we had. So by this with these examples, I he knew ki, yaar, this guy can also just not only handle the internal stakeholders but also the external stakeholders. So these two examples, and we had some discussion around what Licious did and what was my role in getting dealing with these clients, and he was satisfied with what I had said. Um, then he came up on he asked me, you are working at Walt Disney Company. What is your best project that you worked on? So there was a project that I was working on, and I worked on it for close to 8 months. And it was a project on increasing the efficacy of the B2B sales managers. So we created a social listening dashboard for these sales managers, wherein they could track the developments and news around their portfolio companies. So we created this, and by means of social listening, and we hosted it on Sprinkler. So I and the impact was that earlier these sales managers, they had to keep a track of 5 different tabs. They had to collate information and then decide on decision. With this, we provided a one screen view to them, so it helped them just digest the information and take their decision. So this was something that I'm really proud of, and it is getting it got implemented for the Hotstar team. It would get extended to the to other sales team at Star India. Then going ahead with my work, he asked me to create a social, to to structure out how would I create a social listening dashboard for INDMoney to track customer issues. Because there is one thing common in my experience, that I was always working. I was very close to the customer in all my roles, and I always want so. This is something that I developed with 5 years of experience, that I always empathize with the customer. So it comes out in the decisions also that I make. uh, so for this, I told him, there are capabilities that in the social data. By social data, I mean public data, that is the conversations that are there on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. All of the conversations that are marked as public, they can be accessed. Uh, and also, let's say if someone is talking about, if someone has tagged INDMoney and he says, ki, yaar, the US stocks product is amazing, or someone says, ki, yaar, I am having some issues with the MF stocks. So with such words like US stocks, with different permutation combinations, ended with INDMoney, you can come up with a dashboard wherein you can show, ki, hey, this is your share of voice for the different issues that are there. There can be multiple issues. Here, I'm not able to log in. There is a refund issue. I'm not able to track my investments properly. So all of this, that these issues exist. But how can you assign a number to these issues, and how can you visualize these issues? Yeah, which is the biggest elephant in the room. So then by means of the social data, you see कि यार ठीक है, सोशल पे मेरा प्रॉब्लम्स तो है, बट लोग सबसे ज्यादा बात कर रहे हैं यूएस स्टॉक्स में ये चीज चल रही है. So then it gives an idea to the team कि यार सबसे पहले इसको solve करो, so as to bring down the problems. So I helped him. I walked him through with the structure that we can create and what all we can have in the dashboard. What all can we show, which would be informative to the user, to the product owner, to solve this issue. Uh, so far so good. Then again, he wanted to ask me further, ki, yaar, would you be okay taking up a role where you would have to manage internal stakeholders? Because as such, Herein, as a product manager, Sugat, you're also working as a PM, and all of the folks who are wanting to work in PM, they know that stakeholder management is one of the most important skills that the PM needs to possess. So he wanted to know that you'll have to work closely with the ops, closely with the vendors, closely with your own designers and developers. So how okay are you working with? Will you be okay? So I brought in the experience of uh, how I worked, how I uh, uh, came up with this solution, the help infrastructure that we had charted out for Licious, and how it required working with developers and people from business, and also people from ops and product. So it helped. So wherever I was, asked such a question, ki yaar, kaise kar paoge? I always had an experience from my past to show कि नहीं मतलब अभी मैं currently नहीं कर रहा, but I've worked on such problems in the past, and I'll be able to cope up with such a situation. uh, then he also wanted to know, this was a trick question again, I don't know कि इसका what is the right answer to it, but he asked me कि यार ठीक है तुम आ जाते हो, बताओ what is the product that you would want to build. So would it be a 0 to 1 product, would it be a 1 to 10 product, or would it be a 1 to n product? So मुझे पता है कि मतलब I so I knew कि यार I am moving from a non-product role to a I would be moving to a core product role. So I said कि I'll happy creating a 1 to 10 product जो अभी बन चुका है, but we want to scale it up to, let's say, the next set of users, and take their feedback and improve upon the product, because 1 to n would seem a very big bet. मतलब जितना tough 0 to 1 बनाना है, I think उतना ही टफ इज 1 to n, बिकॉज उस स्केल पे लेके जाना इज इक्वली टफ, बिकॉज गेटिंग एक्सेप्टेंस ऑफ अ मिलियन यूजर्स इज आल्सो टफ. सो मुझे लगा कि नहीं यार, मैं जाते ही आई वुड नॉट बी एबल टू टेक अप एन एग्जिस्टिंग प्रोडक्ट टू 10 आल्सो, एंड 0 to 1 तो वाज आउट ऑफ क्वेश्चन, बिकॉज यार पहले मैं जाके सीखूंगा समझूंगा तभी तो एक नया प्रोडक्ट बना पाऊंगा. सो आई सेड कि आई वुड वांट टू गो अहेड विद अ 1 to 10 प्रोडक्ट, एंड देन उसके बेसिस पे improve it, and then maybe take it to 1 to n, but पहले मैं 1 to 10 ही करूंगा. So this is how I answered this question. And the last one was कि यार he wanted to see कि how I am able to prioritize problems, and how would be able to look at the different problems that are there on my plate, and how would be able to pick out of them these problems to solve. So I looked at I built a framework, and I looked at 3 to 4 things over here. I said कि यार I look at the कि which is the biggest elephant in the room, मतलब क्या मेरी चीज को मतलब बहुत बुरा impact कर रहा है in terms of customer experience. So we can look at various things, the rating, the product rating, we can look at the customer feedback, we can also look at the NPS. इन तीन चीजों को देखूंगा. Then I would look at कि let's say I have now five requests with me, किसमें सबसे ज्यादा टेक रिसोर्सेज रिक्वायर्ड हैं, देन किसमें सबसे ज्यादा एफर्ट रिक्वायर्ड है. Based on these 3 4 things, I would prioritize, and I would want to take off they solve for the problem which is affecting my customers in the forefront. So yes, this was my connect with the VP product. And yeah, I waited close to 2 weeks, because beach mein there were holidays, Diwali वगैरह थी, and then I finally got to know कि they liked the meeting that they had with me. And yes, then the last round that I had was with the head of HR, and basically matlab it was more around compensation negotiation, and yaar come jaldi aa jao, we want you in as soon as possible because we are doing crazy things. And I so this is a time where the candidate should ask a lot of questions कि यार आपके यहाँ पे कैसा होता है, मतलब any apprehensions that you have, you should take it up straight away to the head of HR कि ये मैं सोच रहा हूँ, ये हो पाएगा कि नहीं, यहाँ पे ऐसा होता है कि नहीं, because most of the times candidates miss out on asking valid questions that they have. So when you are with the head of HR, you should always ask for such things कि यार आपका how often do you go for breakouts, how often do you party, if you have such questions, या और चीजें कैसे रहती हैं. So these are the things that you should take up with the HR. And coming to the notice period, no, I was not able to negotiate my notice periods. But the company was they were very matlab, I should say they were very. I was very fortunate कि they were okay with me serving the entire 3 months notice period. So, matlab, I want to give a heads up to INDMoney team also कि यार they were okay waiting for me for 3 months because there is no shortage of talent in the world that we are living. But yes, so notice period negotiate करना was not in my pace. We were able to come to a common ground in terms of compensation. And yes, long story short, I joined INDMoney.
Hey, awesome. Abhishek, what I really loved about the entire thing is, how detailed and structured way you we are picking up the questions and also telling what were the answers you think. I think I found it very rare in all my previous interviews, and I think this is something folks will really enjoy. That you were very detailed and crisp and point to point and what should be the expectations, and on the same time it was very raw and natural things which was coming out as if you're talking to some friends and sharing the same set of experience. So kudos to you, all your effort, and I totally believe that you will do great work at INDMoney. Just joined, but I think you will have great opportunities working out there.
Yeah, thank you, Sugat. Thank you. I'm मतलब मुझे कभी लगता है कि मैं बेस्ट कर नहीं पाता, but thank you for this appreciation that is coming from you. I hope our folks your audience find it's very, they find it useful. It
Yeah,
gives them some cues to taking up PM interviews with some uh, it gives them some idea to take on the PM interviews in a different way. Because
correct.
everyone out there, they are doing something or the other. सब हर कोई कुछ ना कुछ सीख रहा है कर रहा है. And yeah,
Perfect.
even if it is ये चीज अगर 1% भी किसी को help करवाए, I'm very happy.
Great, absolutely. And I think, folks, apart from this video, Abhishek will be open to willingly help you in all the things. So please feel free to connect with him on LinkedIn and reach out to him if you have any other queries apart from whatever he just mentioned.